Hi folks, and welcome to Tech with Troy. We're going to start another new feature today, which are basically laptop recommendations at different price points. We thought this was a good time to do it. We're going into the holiday season for December of 2018. And what we're going to look at are some laptop recommendations at a variety of different price points. Laptops less than $100, laptops between $100 and $150, and so forth. Now, a couple of comments before we get into it. First of all, on the low end, we're going to see that our recommendations are going to have to focus on both Chromebooks and at the very low end, refurbished Chromebooks. To be honest, there's just not good quality level laptops for Windows much below $150 to $200. Secondly, all of my recommendations here are going to be biased towards machines that have at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. I've talked about this in my other videos. I just feel that particularly if you're running a lot of Chrome tabs, or if you're running Windows programs or anything along those lines, you need at least 4 gig of RAM. Now, when we recommend refurbished machines, you're going to notice that the refurbished machines I do recommend are all going to be Chromebooks. And the reason that I'm comfortable doing that is with a Chromebook, to be honest, the older Celeron processors are going to be just about as good as the newer Celeron processors on running Chromebooks. For a Windows machine, I wouldn't recommend a refurbished machine because they're the older, the hardware, the slower Windows is going to run. The problem isn't so dire, if you will, with Chromebooks. The other thing I'll say is that if you do get a refurbished machine, look for something that's listed as grade A or type A. That is, it has relatively few scratches and so forth, particularly if you're going to gift this thing. The other thing I do a lot of times is if I get a refurbished machine, I'll look for a hard plastic case or shell that basically snaps around the machine. That both helps to hide any minor scratches there may be, and to be honest, the way I use laptops, the way my kids use laptops, it helps to keep from getting additional minor scratches on it too. Now, the other thing I'll mention is that I have not recommended any Mac machines. Are there refurbished Mac machines out there you can find for $150, $200? Yes. But invariably, those machines are ones that Apple does not support on newer updates to the operating system. And so if I were to recommend one of those machines, I'm basically recommending that you get into a dead end. Will it run the OS that it comes with fine? Sure. Is it going to run a newer edition of the OS? No. And I'm just not going to put you guys into one of those dead ends. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, at the less than $100 price range, as I mentioned, your choices are basically refurbished Chromebooks. There's a couple of good ones. There's the Acer C72P. It's at Mac Mall, and I'm going to put links to all these in the show notes below. This is a very decent laptop. It has a good keyboard. It had a fairly good screen, too. By the way, all the Chromebooks I'm going to recommend will run Android apps. That's not true of all Chromebooks in general, but it is true of the ones I'm going to recommend. I've seen this machine on Amazon, and I've seen it at Walmart and other sites for $120, $130, but this price at Mac Mall is a great price. Now, the other machine that I'll recommend at this price point, less than $100, is a refurbished Lenovo Chromebook. There's a couple of different versions. There's the 131E, which people do like, and you see people snap up when they become available because it has the little cursor button in the middle. This is slightly newer than that. It's the ThinkPad 11E. I see it on Amazon right now. It's not on Amazon Prime, but it looks like between the cost and the shipping, you can get it for someplace around $90 to $95. Again, this machine will run Android apps, and it has 4 gig of RAM, 16 gig SSD. Now, if we move up to the $100 to $150 price range, we're still looking at Chromebooks. Here's the other Chromebook that I mentioned from Lenovo, the X131E, which has that little red cursor adjustment. It also has a trackpad. The trackpads on this Lenovo tend to be very small. It has to be sort of an acquired taste, but it's still a good quality laptop. Now, we also start to see a little bit more variety in terms of there's an Acer refurbished Chromebook. This is a decent Chromebook. I'm not a big fan of the white, but Acer does tend to come in white or lighter colored materials. It is fairly sturdy, and I can recommend it fairly well. When we move into the $150 to $200 price range, we actually start to see some Windows machines. Now, one of the best Windows machines out there at this price range, I think, is the HP Stream. It's a nice lightweight, if you will, machine. It's not the lightest, it's not the thinnest, but these tend to have 11.6-inch screens. It's very carryable. This does have a newer N4000 Celeron, comes with 4 gig of RAM, and I believe, let's see, another version of it is sort of the translucent blue. Again, it's technically in the $150 to $200 price range. I'm not sure I would pay the difference between $169.99 and $199.99 to get a colored laptop, but you may feel differently. Also in this price range, again the $150 to $200 price range, there's an Asus laptop that comes with, again, 11.6-inch display, 4 gig of memory, also the Celeron N4000, and it's running Windows 10. Now I'm not sure exactly which model Asus laptop this is. I presume it's one of the older VivoBooks or something along those lines. But they make pretty good laptops. Their keyboards are great, and given that it has sort of the same processor as both the HP Stream and as the other HP Stream, I'd feel comfortable recommending that machine too. Now, if you move up to the $200 to $250 price range, then you start to see additional functions like the 2-in-1. So for instance, this Acer Spin 1 here, it will fold in different formats. It does the tent mode, it does the presenter mode, and obviously it does laptop mode. Again, it's got the N4000, which is a decent chip, 4 gig of memory, and this one actually comes with 64 gig of hard drive. So it's not just that you're getting versus 32 gig on all these. Yeah, that's correct. It's not just that you're getting the additional form factor, but you're also getting twice as much storage, and that comes in handy. Continuing in the $200 to $250 price range, another presumably newer Asus VivoBook. This has fairly good reviews, not just here on Amazon, but on other sites too. It also comes with USB Type-C, which is handy. I do not know, to be honest, whether you can charge it via USB-C or not, but a lot of new peripherals are going to hook up via USB Type-C, so that's handy. It does not have the N4000 processor, it only has the N3350, but to be honest, they're pretty darn close in terms of CPU performance. Now, and a machine I've already mentioned in my quick pick videos, again going back to the Chromebook side, but this Lenovo machine has excellent reviews across the web. It is a 2-in-1 machine, so you get all the different form factors in terms of tent, presenter mode, and so forth. It comes with a MediaTek processor, which you haven't heard of. I've only heard of recently. The nice thing about these processors is they actually tend to be very frugal in terms of power. So this thing will last, I think, somewhere between 8 and 10 hours on a charge, unless you're watching videos all the time or something like that. Again, it's white. I'm not a big fan of this, and as I've mentioned, even though it does come with an SD card reader, the SD card tends to stick out a little bit, so something to keep in mind. But it sounds like it's a great machine. Now, moving to the $250 to $300 price range, another machine that I've mentioned before, the Lenovo IdeaPad 330 at Walmart. Now, the machine that I'm going to recommend, and we're actually going to see that particular version in just a minute, but this is not the machine that I recommended highly, which was the i5 version. This is the i3 version. The i3 version has come down a little bit in price since I first looked at it. It's down to $259. You're getting a really good machine here. I like the Lenovo keyboards. It has the 8th generation i3, which is, to be honest, just about as good as a 7th generation i5. It comes with 4 gig of RAM. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. The way these machines are built, it does have another slot to put in more RAM in the future if you need to. And at the $259 price range, it's a good deal. Continuing in the $250 to $300 price range is another version of that same Lenovo Chromebook. This one has 64 gig of RAM. It's available through Amazon. And again, because of the aspect in terms of the SD card sticking out, I would recommend this one if you can afford to pay the what is it, $40 difference between the 32 gig version and the 64 gig version. Now, at the very top end of the $250 to $300 price range is another machine that I'm amazed that it's going at this price point. This is an HP laptop. It's on the Walmart site. It's running Windows. It has an AMD Ryzen 5 2500U processor. Now, the way this works is it has I call it semi-discrete graphics chip. Semi-discrete because it's an additional graphics processor, but it shares the system RAM with the CPU. Because of that, this thing comes with 8 GB of system RAM, and if you're running light gaming, so first-person shooters or racing games or things along those lines, it'll actually do better than an Intel Core i5 in terms of the graphics capability. The CPU itself is roughly equivalent to about 97% of an i5. It's better than an i3. So this is a great machine for the price. It comes with 1 terabyte of hard drive. I think that this machine does have space to put an SSD drive in if you wish, and I think you can also expand the RAM. This is a great machine. I would definitely recommend it. Now, at the $300 to $350 price range, your options start to open up, and I'm not going to try to exhaustively list all the machines that I think would be good, but the one I have mentioned before is that Lenovo IdeaPad 330S at Walmart for $349. Now, this is coming with the i5. It has 4 gig of RAM plus a 16 gig Intel Optane card, which fits into what otherwise would be an SSD slot. And what that does is it speeds up access to the 1 terabyte hard drive. Comes with Windows 10. This is a great machine. I love the keyboards on these Lenovos. And then finally, at the $350 to $400 price range, I saw a machine today. Again, there's lots of options, but the machine I saw today goes back and adds sort of all the functionality with a current generation processor. That's the HP Pavilion X360 convertible laptop, available also on Walmart. Now, it's running the 8th generation of the i3, which is a nice fast processor. Has a 1 terabyte hard drive. Also comes with a 16 gig Intel Optane, which is going to speed up that hard drive, and it comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now, this thing is a 2-in-1, that is, it folds and spindles and so forth, running Windows 10, and I think, it comes with the HP digital pen. So in particular, if you have a child or yourself that wants to take written notes, or that likes the ability to watch videos in tent mode, and would also like the touch screen and so forth, this is a really good price point. Now, obviously I haven't talked about every single laptop that's available out there, but I think this is a good, nice list of recommendations for people going into the holiday season for December 2018. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, if you have, please feel free to subscribe, and I hope that everybody has a great holiday season. Take care.